Thoughts?
Why don't you go first?
Okay.
Ooh.
You tear this one apart first. Hi, I'm John.
Hi, I'm Caroline, and today we're going to be reviewing logos with really long names.
Looks like first here we've got Harley-Davidson motorcycles. I think I would suggest with logos with long names, either doing something like they've done here, where they've kind of compacted everything. They've kind of stacked it where it all fits in this nice little rectangle in there. And then they've also developed this symbol, this whole little badge thing they got going on that people recognize even without the text in there. But I'm sure that came over time, people knowing that and the colors. But I think they've done a good job of taking essentially a 4-word logo here and kind of compacting that.
I like it just because I've always seen it.
Yeah.
I like it fits.
And it's kind of got, I mean, it's probably because I've seen it on patches, but the whole thing, it kind of looks like that whole patch aesthetic there. So, you see that a lot of times on various motorcycle apparel, patches and whatnot. So I think that's what they were going for, and so I think they did a good job bringing that same aspect into that lifestyle there.
I like this one. It's simple.
I do too. I think they went with a tight face here that just, I don't know, I can't explain why, but it just feels homey. And so I think that's what they were going for there. And I wouldn't say this one's necessarily long. It's only like 3 words here, and they've stacked it, so it's kind of like the Harley-Davidson. It's a little more compact there. But I think they've done a good job with it. I mean, you can clearly read it even at smaller sizes. You got to be careful with some of those thin strokes in there, but there's enough of that word, even zoomed out here, that I can still read that. I know who that is right away.
Let me see, you take your glasses off and read it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Give me that. I don't have too terrible eyesight, so yeah. Sometimes I think I trick the eye test whenever I'm looking at it, just because I am a graphic designer. So when I take the eye test, I see the letter forms, and so it's like, well, that's what that is, even if it's blurry as can be. So this one right here, I would say is a long logo here.
For sure.
Any thoughts on this one?
I think the way that it's laid out, it could be a good logo. Not that it's terrible, but if it was laid out different and put emphasis on different words, I think it could work better. But this is, I don't sit there and read all those words
I agree.
when I first look at it.
Yeah, I almost would focus more on the Edward Hopper house and kind of have that be my main focus. Maybe have that, I don't know if I do it just one line of this, because that would be kind of long as well, but maybe stack that or something, Edward Hopper and then house, and then smaller below it have the Museum and Study Center as kind of a subhead to this headline here. It puts a focus on the name of what it is, and I think that's a better way to go. However, I do like what they did here with the W and the M, using those same ones, just so that it's unified throughout the whole thing. I do think that aspect of it's strong. But yeah, I think this one could be adjusted to make it a little bit better. GWR. I think we were told ahead of time that this was originally a company called First Great Western, but now I guess it's Great Western Railroad. But without having that somewhere with it, and them not being known well enough that I recognize that right away, I still think, I know it may be kind of long, but I would still at least run it small down here with it or something, so I know who they are.
That looks like somebody's monogram to me.
Yeah.
Just first looking at it, I don't know if that's Great Western Railroad.
Yeah, there's nothing unique about that says railroad, that says, well, really anything. Like you said, it just looks like, a common monogram format there. I actually saw their logo before we started doing this video, and I actually think that one was a little bit stronger than what they got here. It had a subtle, it had an F in there for the first Great Western. Part of the F went in a curve, kind of like the curve of a railroad and everything. So it at least had that was a little more recognizable. Harvest Point Daycare. Thoughts?
Why don't you go first?
Okay.
Ooh.
You tear this one apart first. That way they come after you.
That way I can agree.
So, I wouldn't say that this is super long. Like, I don't mind it stacked like that. I think that's fine. But as far as their use of these, like, line art icons in here, I think those get lost, especially if you go to small sizes. And I think that's where they're hurt. So like I said, not so much because of the length of their logo, but because of the way they did these graphics in here. It's one of those, they probably could have either gone with, like, usually I'll say go with about 2 typefaces on a logo, sometimes 3. In this case, I think they could get away with doing that. And having the harvest in one, point in one, and daycare in another, just to kind of break those up some. But it all depends on the font, how that might work out. But as far as their color scheme, I think it works. It looks fall-like, and you think the harvest and everything. So I think their color scheme is fitting for them.
I like this, but I don't think anything about it really says daycare. To me, it's more like a...
Except the word daycare?
Yeah, because when you were saying that, I was like, is it a daycare?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Cause
it says daycare. But
yeah, but you got they're doing this because of the harvest part of it, the wheat. But yeah, I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, this is a daycare.
Yeah, and the color scheme doesn't say... Nothing about it says daycare except the word daycare.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like it. It just doesn't really reflect.
Yeah, Apple, they're probably going with like a teacher thing, but even with the rest of this stuff, it just doesn't. Mm-hmm. Like you said, nothing says, except for the word daycare, says daycare about this.
This is not my favorite.
No. Any other thoughts besides that's your favorite?
I came up with a sentence. It's just an odd layout, and usually, like you have said, script fonts don't work well in logos for the most part. I guess it depends, but
yeah, I don't think this script font is unique enough. Like, it's not like Coca-Cola. I can tell their script font, but this is just a little generic. I mean, it does have this little swash thing, which is neat, but it's still not anything specifically unique about them. As far as it being long, how I would remedy this, I guess they're going for an international thing, saying of the world, but I would probably take that part out and just be leading real estate companies, or even just leading real estate, and just have, everything's encompassed in that right there. Real estate, it can cover that aspect of it being those various companies. And as far as them being international, I don't think sometimes you have to say that you're international to be an international company. But as far as standing out, no, I don't think this one really stands out.
I think I've seen that font in something else too. I can't remember what it was, but it's not unique, like you were saying.
Exactly, it's just way too generic of a logo.
It reminds me of the water, like Aquafina's.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where I've seen it. And the same color scheme too.
Or Le Bleu or something like that.
Yeah.
Singapore Symphony Orchestra. I actually like this one.
I do too. That red's just a little bit bright. But I like it.
Yeah. What is I don't know what Singapore's colors are like on their flag. I don't know if it's red or anything, so maybe red and white. I know like a lot of countries have the same colors, so maybe they were using something like that. Oh, okay, yeah. It looks like that is their colors, red and white. So well done on that. It says Singapore with that. The symphony orchestra is covered with that shape there. It looks like a musical note there. So I'm sure that's what they were going for. And then of course you've got the S. I would make things a little bit thicker in here and right there, just because when you get smaller, it gets kind of lost. But I don't know. I still see the S there, so may not be too bad.
I think that mark is easily recognizable for them.
Yeah, this and maybe Better Homes and Gardens, but this is probably the strongest one of these logos I've seen so far. As far as favorites here, what's your favorite?
I know my least favorite is the Great Western Railway.
I will go with you on that one. That one's probably my least favorite too, of the ones we looked at today.
And then, what's your least favorite? The same one?
Yeah, as far as least favorite, Great Western Railways, and that's mainly just because they went to the abbreviation on that one, which I think is a good way to go for long names. But until you're recognizable with something like that, I think you got to have that name with it.
And I would say my favorite is probably the Harley-Davidson logo, just because I know that so well, and I like the color scheme, and they just have a really strong brand.
And your dad rides motorcycles too, so. Mine, I would probably go with the Singapore Symphony Orchestra, just because it's got that. It seems to encompass everything about them. Their colors are represented with the country here, and then just the symphony orchestra part of it. You've got this. I mean, that's easily recognizable as that little dot and everything on a music note, and the little top part of that music note. So I think that's probably the strongest one we've looked at today, and I like it stacked like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
So. Thank you for watching.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hit the box up here, right there.
Press the like button, and the like button will do that ping thing.
Yep.